something really aggressive against 1d4 with the black pieces is not as easy. But I've been using a setup for years that I really like. Knight out and the move c5. So in this video, I will put it to the test against opponents of increasing levels. I will show you all the plans, ideas, tactics, why the move c5 is such a dangerous idea, and what to do when white tries to prevent it. Let's go. We respond with the move knight f6. What's the idea? We are controlling the center. Usually you never want to let your opponent with the white pieces play the move e4 and d4, because they would have massive control over the center. And if they now push the pawn on e4, you grab it, say thank you very much, free cheese macaroni, why not? So the knight is controlling the e4 square. I have never seen this move in my life, for real. Chess.com says this is the pawn push variation. Okay, usually you shouldn't push the pawn too early in the opening. I will try to develop my pieces in a sensible way, so I will play the move e6, just saying like, okay, I'm opening up my bishop and preparing to castle in the future, and also I'm saying like, hey, wanna trade? They don't want to trade, but they are protecting this pawn. Very interesting. I will just go with the bishop here, giving a check, and I'm ready to castle. I will just play very simple chess right now. We couldn't go with our idea, that is the move c5, but that's all right. Usually it's very typical, especially at the beginning, that your opponent will do something different in the opening. So you just need to be ready to adjust. That's the most important skill to acquire. Now, this is very interesting already, because look at this pawn. It's attacked 2 times and protected just once. But of course we cannot take it because our bishop is more valuable. So I will play the move queen e7. This is some sort of typical move in d4, some structure like this one. And the idea is that once they take, I want to take back with check. Okay, now they are kind of forcing us to trade, and they should take with the queen. Very good. Why? Because with the knight, the queen is blocked and this pawn is unprotected. Okay, very good. I will simply castle right now. What do I still need to do? In every opening, you gotta bring out all your pieces. Remember when we were kids, or if you're a kid, you want to play with all your toys, right? You have a box of toys, you throw it on the floor, your mom is screaming, but you're doing the right thing. You gotta play with all of them at the same time, not just one. So the knight is protecting this pawn, and I want to play with these toys as well, but I have a problem. This guy cannot go out, this guy shouldn't go out. So I need a plan. And right now it's time to get rid of this pawn. So I'm taking this one because in the future I would like to bring the knight there if possible. And I also want to play the move d6 in order to bring this guy out this way. So very good. Now we have an idea. We can push the pawn here, bring this bishop out, and then this knight will go out, not here, but over there on d7. That's why I'm bringing first the bishop out, because the knight here would be blocking the bishop. Very nice. I like my position is nothing too fancy, but just good enough. Now attention, because if my opponent tries to develop the bishop the wrong way, they lose the knight. The bishop can go out fianchetto or through e3. And if the bishop goes out fianchetto, do you know why this is very wrong? The answer is that this pawn is pinned. So this pawn is not protecting the knight. So attention, my opponent in the meantime subscribe if you're enjoying videos like this one. Okay, they are going for the right but still wrong move, because this pawn is a free cheese macaroni. Attacked once and attacked twice. So we take it. It's important to shortly consider that after knight here, they could play the move queen e2. Very interesting move. They are unpinning and pinning me. Because after this, queen e2, I can't move my knight because the queen behind is hanging. But I have the counter. I can go with rook here, defending my knight, unpinning. Well, I'm not really unpinning the knight, but I'm protecting the queen behind. So then I can move the knight wherever it wants. Okay, very good. I'll trade, no problem at all. And I already have an extra pawn. Was about to spill my water. I could trade, I could not trade. Oh, I have a free cheese macaron here. We can't let them be untaken. We love free cheese macaroni. So what do we need to do is to still bring out all the rest of the pieces. Now this knight got a big favor because since the pawn is no longer on d5, the knight can go on a better square. Where is the queen going? Okay, so the queen is trying to go get this pawn. Pretty legit. But I will show you that sometimes there are some pawns that are called poison pawns. Now, this is not the most typical of the poison pawns, but basically the queen is taking so much time to go try to catch these pawns, and they lost track of the most important thing. In chess, it's always about the king. The king is the most important piece, and in the opening, what we are doing usually, develop your pieces and castle. We always need to make sure our king is into safety. And if you play 1 million moves with the queen to go take just a few pawns, your king might be very weak. So now you'll see already. We give a check. The king cannot move anywhere. The king has no squares to go. You can cover, but now I'm taking here. The pawn has to take, the bishop is pinned. I'm taking here with the queen because the bishop cannot take. And now again, the king has to run before it's too late. The king should have to run away somewhere. But this has a big cost, like we gave away a pawn, but now we are winning a full piece. And the king is still pretty much in open field, even if they run away. Yes, they are trying to run, Forrest, run really fast. But this is not lasting long. Okay. Let's try to see if we have a forced checkmate. I think we have it. So it's a bit long, bim. So if the king goes there, we just go directly with the boom. But I think the king should move over there. Perfect. We have another check. Now, if the king goes there, we have another checkmate. So the king has to go over there. And now we have the bim, boom, bam. Are you ready? Bim. The king has to move over here. Boom. The king has to go back here, only square. And then we have the bum. Checkmate. GG's. Quick analysis. It's fun that here I was trying to look for a checkmate and I'm sure you saw it, right? So before you write millions of comments about Alessia, you missed mate in one. I know. It happens. Did you see it? Let me know if you saw it during the game though. There was a pretty simple mate in one. Just take the free cheese macaroni, checkmate, ladder mate. As simple, more simple than this couldn't it be? Next game. So we go with the knight out on f6 and they are playing the move e3. That's a shy move protecting the pawn, but comes with a downside that his bishop is locked inside a box. Let's go with our move, the move c5. Now this starts to resemble a Sicilian. So what's the idea? We are giving away a pawn. Are we crazy? No, we have pretty much 3 ways to win back the pawn. One idea is to play the move queen a5, giving a check and winning the pawn 100%. One idea, a little bit more, giving priority to development is to play the move e6 followed by bishop here. What's the idea? We don't want to go out with the queen to take back the pawn. We want to just develop and take it just like this. And I will try this one because the typical way to defend the pawn, the move b4, doesn't seem to work here. So there is a pawn protecting a pawn with a pawn. How do we deal with it? With the move a5. So it's very educative. And now if they protect this way, you can just take it and the pawn cannot take because the rook behind is hanging. So now we won a pawn and we are going to win even more material because this guy is still falling. So we are at move 5 and we are already in a better position. In the analysis, I will show you what is the best way for white to try to defend the pawn and how to deal with the black pieces. But for now, let's focus on winning this game, hopefully. So we take back with the bishop. And attention, this pawn is still well protected because this guy is pinned. So if the bishop is taken, they actually lose a full piece because we take the bishop and they can't take back because they would lose even more material. So we are doing really well, ready to castle. And let's not forget, in every opening, we gotta bring out all our pieces. Knight here is a good move. I will castle. I could take this pawn at any point. I'm not a big fan of this move because you're moving the same piece twice, but I kind of understand their idea. They want to go there in order to attack the bishop and attack the pawn. So it's time to now get this pawn. I'll take it. This pawn is protect 2 times, so is again another free cheese macaroni. And if the knight goes there, I'm able to bring my bishop just back, still protecting the pawn, completely fine. The knight went out, normal developing move. I will keep going also with my knight out. Since we have 2 extra pawns, that's pretty good. We want to trade as much as possible. So this move is good, not just to bring out the knight, but also in order to trade pieces. Of course, white shouldn't trade. So if you are in a position like this one with 2 pawns down, try to keep as many pieces on the board, because the more you do that, the more the position becomes complicated for your opponent. Okay, now I said like, oh, I want to trade. You should trade, and that's a completely good strategy. But I see something better in this position, and is to really put pressure on the weakness that my opponent has. And is that, look at their pieces. They're all in the starting squares. So this move here is saying like, no, I don't trade because I'm gonna exploit my better development. I don't have this bishop developed, that's true, but I'm putting really massive pressure right now. Because this knight is attacked 2 times and protected just once. And if you move it, there is a bishop there, and the king is kind of in danger. Okay, this is a good move. Very good move. Because now I can't increase the pressure on this bishop. I would have loved to play something like this or that to attack the bishop behind even more times. But if I do that, my bishop is under attack. So it's probably time to trade, and we will go to an endgame with 2 pawns. That's fine, because that's, in my opinion, a very stable strategy. So we get to talk a little bit also about endgames, which is a bit less talked part of chess, but still very important, because it's there where you win most games, okay? Because, yes, not all games end up with a quick checkmate or whatever is very exciting. Usually you go to an endgame and then you need to know how to play it. Okay, very good. Let's talk about it. First of all, here is still an interesting position. We are not in a classic endgame yet. And because there are so many pieces still. So what is very important to play with all your pieces and never Never stop asking what's the idea behind my opponent move. What are they doing? They're attacking this pawn. How to defend it? I could push it. I could defend it this way. There are pretty some ways, but I will be very exploitative here because I see something annoying. And is that after this pawn push, I'm threatening to push even forward, taking advantage of the bishop that is pinned. And after this knight move, I can play a rook here. Attacking the knight, winning a tempo. If the knight moves in a calm square, for example, like this one, then I'm winning a piece. So there is a move that is knight here that is kind of giving a check, so winning a tempo. I move the king, attacking the knight. The knight would take, I would take the rook, and then white would have time to try to save the bishop. That would have been the best. This is not good. I play this, winning even more material. Let me know if all the combination was hard to follow. So in that case, I would try to maybe show it in the analysis in future videos. There is no way to defend in this position, so white is trying to attack a pawn, very reasonable. I will just take this piece right away, and now I want to defend this pawn. That's pretty important. But I might defend it in a fun way. And this by pushing this other one. If they take, I'm promoting. So they are now hiding behind a pawn. That's sensible. And now I push the other pawn. So what are we looking here is the power of passed pawns. Passed pawns are in general very good. And especially when you have two next to each other that can support each other. I will go with the rook here because the rook is under attack. I have to try to defend this pawn in some ways, but the rook couldn't land in this squares. Okay, it's time to bring this bishop out. Come on. So maybe this bishop can support the advance of this pawn in the future. It's time to do so. I might also bring this knight towards... Oh, okay, I didn't shortly. I didn't ask myself, is this pawn protected? Luckily it is, but better to shortly verify that. Okay, so the knight is under attack. The knight is a very a beautiful square here because I'm protecting this pawn, but also maybe trying to give this check. So some nice ideas here. Now we need to protect that pawn. So I'm thinking if we can do this move, and the answer is yes. This is we need to be a little bit careful because there is one final idea that white can try to use to checkmate me, and this is the back rank. The king doesn't have any space right now. So basically I'm putting... Tricky boy. Okay, so if I take with the pawn, oopsie poopsie. But I'm definitely not going to do that. Like, I'm usually against tricks, but to be honest, if you're in a lost position, okay, you take a gamble anyway, you're probably going to lose. So at least here you make you play a move that you rise your percentage of win just because your opponent might play a wrong move. Now, of course, I can take with the rook and I just won a piece, but this would be a bad move if the position would be equal. If the material is equal, why to take that risk? But here, white is anyway going to lose the game, so I'm not too against this sort of moves, desperado, in this type of situations, but never do this hope chess when you have equal material. Okay, GG's. Quick analysis to tell you what's the best way for white to try to defend the pawn, and it's with the move c3. What's the idea? That after pawn takes, they can simply take back, and that's all right. Now black has different ways of playing. For example, one could be to simply develop this knight to attack this pawn. Now again, if the move a3 is played, that's a free pawn. Here the things get a little bit more complex. When white is pushing this pawn, the knight has to go somewhere up here, and this pawn will fall eventually. Black will be able to take this pawn, protect the knight. This position, as you see from the evaluation bar, is roughly equal. There is also one more way working very well in this scenario is the move b6. What's the idea? You're attacking this pawn now twice, and if they take here, you're going to first take this pawn with check and then recapture this other pawn. Black here is even a bit better because of better piece development activity right now, and also future better control over the center. Black has 2 pawns while oh, I'm just realizing that also black is basically winning a pawn because after queen here, no, I'm kidding, there is this pawn. So no, better control over the center. This pawn is maybe a bit weak. In an endgame, that pawn would be pretty good because it's a far away pass pawn, but if there are so many pieces on the board, that pawn could actually be attacked so many times. Okay, next game. New game, higher rating. We play knight out. And I have never seen this move in my life. f4. Okay, interesting. I will go with the move c5. This move is completely justified, and we play the move e6. We want to take back. Will they defend with the move b4? Yes, and we go this, and now will they play the move c3? So this f4 move is really strange because you are weakening pretty much everything. So I will take here, and I believe that after pawn takes, we can just apply what we have learned before. We play the move b6. Now let's see how they deal with this. So remember this idea because it applies to pretty much every second move that white can play here. And after the move c5, if they take, which is very, very typical. Okay, bishop there. Interesting move. Basically, they are protecting this pawn one more time, but this comes to a very high risk. I already see some possible tactics, and I think I will go for them. So I will take once here. And now after the pawn is taking back, this check is very nasty, right? Attacking here and attacking there. But I can't take the bishop with the queen because the knight is taking back. But what I can do is to sacrifice my rook, making Gotham Chess and all his fans very happy. And I think we are gonna do that. Just double checking. Yes, we do. Because after this, we give a check and there is no way for the knight to cover and there is no way for the queen to cover plus protecting the knight. So we are giving away a rook for 2 minor pieces, which is a very good deal. Not just because numerically it works. Knight and bishop are 6 points, 3 plus 3, and the rook is 5, but also because in a middle game, the rooks are usually not really playing. Instead, the minor pieces are very important. So we are pretty happy with this, with the outcome here. What I really need to do now is to give full priority to my development, especially to developing this bishop. Probably I'll take this pawn, and to castle. Now, I want to be shortly to reflect on this move because like if this rook could magically take there, it would be a disaster for me. But since that cannot happen, I am going to castle. Like now I'm threatening something very nasty and it's not simple for them to stop it somehow. Okay, they actually did it. Very good. Okay, so how to move on? It's important. So I could simply develop. Wait, there is a piece hanging. No, let's not simply develop, okay? Let's actually give this check and protect our piece by winning a tempo. I'm winning a tempo because my opponent needs to address the check. They need to do something. And what they are doing is going backwards with a piece. So what am I going to do right now? I'll go forward with the knight. I'm developing, plus setting up some interesting, pretty nasty threats. Okay, I understand this move, but I don't really like it. Usually you should trade the queens when you have more material, but I don't want because, first of all, rooks become always stronger and stronger the more we go towards an endgame. And I have 1 rook less. And also, like, this king is really in bad shape, so I will just go here and attack the knight one more time. The queen has to basically move again to defend it, or the rook has to move again to defend it. Well, this will be a red tomato. So we can take here, give a check, win the rook. And this position is really not fun for white. Okay, we take also the rook. We need to bring the final pieces, so happy to trade this bishop in order to activate my rook. We take here, bring the rook over there. Now we are threatening very, very nasty discovery. Where would you place your knight, guys? Yes, there is one square that is really beautiful. It's a fork discovery check. This is crazy. And I'm not taking the queen because when you can take a free queen, look for better, because here we have a beautiful checkmate. GG's. Very quick analysis to check the move rook take a3, which is actually brilliant. So make sure to like the video and let's move on with the next game. New game, higher rating. We go out with the knight. And they play the London system. Okay, so I have a nice recipe against the London system. So I'll try to share it with you. I want first to take control over the center with the move e6 and d5, and I'm preparing to develop the kingside with the bishop here. So now there is already a question for them, what to do with the bishop. All right, that's atypical that they move the bishop on g5. Usually they go back with the bishop on g3. I will simply bring the other knight to the game, controlling the square. Keep in mind that usually in the London they want to bring up this knight on e5, but now they cannot. This move is a mistake because yes, it's pinning my knight, but I can play this move with tempo, kicking the bishop back. I'm really confused by my opponent right now. I will just take back with the queen. They gave away the bishop and now there is a big problem. I will be able to execute the strong move e5, opening up my position so much, and I have the two bishops, and the two bishops are very strong when the position is open. So now we will just complete the development very quickly, castle, bring out the other bishop as well. And I'll bring it here because I like this diagonal quite a lot. Okay, they take here. Probably the idea is to bring the other knight. This is a very typical maneuver. I will go back with the bishop over there. I see already some plans. Okay, I will pin this knight. So for example, look at this bishop could team up with the queen to attack that point. And this bishop will finish the job by getting rid of the only defender. Okay, queen here and the bishop are looking over there. But I think I can just win material by taking here and winning a pawn. So should we stay or should we go? I will go. So they could take here with check, but it comes to a price because anytime they take, I will move my king, and then they also have a problem with the bishop, not only with the rook. I could play the move g6, trapping the bishop. So actually the pawn over there shouldn't be captured. They move the rook away. And the nice part is that they cannot really castle. So I will play the move g6. Yeah, now they played this and now actually they could castle. So let's go back with the queen over here. Now it's a very interesting position because I have an extra pawn, but with opposite side castling, attacking the enemy king is way more important than a pawn. And we could also argue that the fact that this pawn is not there gives maybe white more chances to start an attack. That's why I played the move g6 to kind of put a blockade on this open file. But now let's go with fire. I want to bring all my forces on the queenside. So try to open up files, bring all my pieces. And here there is an important concept that applies to different positions where you have opposite color bishop. Keep in mind that it's like if I would have an extra piece on all the dark squares. If I attack a dark square, this bishop cannot do anything to protect. So it's very important to be the first one to attack, even at cost of sacrificing material. So my opponent is really doing a very nice move here. I really like the move h4. If I take, then the rook is coming to place and then they will double up and oops, they are attacking a light square. So really good job. That's why I will probably not take and keep going with the attack myself, playing the move b4. What I'm doing, the same thing, I'm sacrificing a pawn. If they take, I will just have, first of all, this open diagonal, but also I just have more chances to attack. Okay, they are not accepting the pawn, but they are helping to open up files no matter what. I will start advancing this pawn even more. I should have thought a little bit more, because after pawn takes, the queen can take here. This is not a problem because I could win the queen, but I should have shortly considered that at least. Okay, so now here I will not touch anything. I will let them take and I will keep going with my attack here. My idea is now to play the move b3, which is forcing lines to open up. Okay, so now the question is with which pawn to take back. And because, yeah, I could play this, but I can take with check. I don't want that. So I'll take it back with this pawn. I'm trying to keep my king as shielded as possible. Again, my opponent is playing really well. So good job up to this point. And, ooh. Now it's becoming interesting because I could already not take back the pawn and try to, you know, start a counterattack. At the same time, it looks like taking back here is really good. Again, this bishop is not at all hanging. If they take, I'm winning a queen. So attention there. So probably maybe king here, putting the king to safety could be a good move right now. They don't do it. So they go with the queen here, threatening to take this pawn with check. That's definitely their idea. I will just move the bishop there. I have a pretty strong idea. I'm threatening to take this pawn, plus I'm threatening to bring a rook there. So how are they going to deal? Of course, they could take this pawn with check. I can move, and now I can move my king, and now they don't have at least the problem of the queen anymore. So they could just try to defend. The point is, and now we go back to the concept of opposite color bishop, it's not simple to defend that pawn. So already now I could try to be really annoying with this move. Or also I could try to be really annoying with this move, attacking the queen and the rook behind. And I think this is pretty strong, because after rook d8, I don't see where the queen is moving to keep the rook protected. So we'll play this move. And now you start to see the power of attacking when you have opposite color bishops. All the dark squares of white are suffering because this bishop is doing nothing for them. So now the queen has to move, and if the queen moves just somewhere, I can take here and then win this pawn. But attention, this rook here is hanging. So I will first give a check and then we'll do everything. Everything I said. So taking here and then taking this pawn. This is the right execution. And this is a proof that in chess, always calculation makes the difference between winning and losing a game. In all cases, even when it seems like you are just crushing. Okay, so rook here is protecting. Actually an interesting move, because if I would trade, now the queen is protecting this pawn, but I can just take this pawn. I can just snap it. And the rook cannot take because it's pinned, so the king has to move away. What to play now? This bishop is now under attack. So the question is where to move it. I could move it even here. And the idea is that I'm threatening mate. I could also move it here, threatening. Well, I'm not threatening mate, but if the rook would move, I'm threatening mate. For example, after rook takes, I don't take back, but I just give mate. I can also just place the bishop here just to stop everything. And then maybe try to play for this advance over there. And I like that. I like to keep all white pieces at the defense. This rook is just defending right now, so it's good. I put a bishop in front of it, and I will try to really open up even more files with the move b3. And this rook might be running out of squares. The rook cannot go there, cannot go here. So actually, this is now already a very annoying threat. Bishop here is just attacking this pawn. So I can really keep going and pushing here. Look at my king, it's really chilling on that dark squares. There are no checks, no way to attack. White would have to coordinate and attack against this pawn. So try to bring all the rooks, all the queens, maybe a bishop here to try to put pressure on the diagonal. But they just are not in time to do any of that. That's why they have potential, but they cannot execute. So keep in mind, you gotta be fast in this type of situations. Now I'm going with the rook here, trying to threaten checkmate. And it's not super simple to stop it. And also it's not simple. Okay. They're stopping it because after this, the queen is taking back. So a good idea. But now I will still put pressure. Bring the queen over there, attacking this bishop, attacking this rook. Maybe we have a bim bum bum. Yes, we have it. Bim. Well, we have just a bum, sorry. And bum. All right, GG's. Chess.com teased me with this brilliant move. But unfortunately, there is no brilliant, but it was a great game, and I really want you to remember this move, bishop d6. Very interesting to trade the London bishop. Usually they will go with the bishop there, and then try to play for the move e5. That's your long-term plan. So you will definitely castle, and then you will try to develop, focusing on playing the move e5. So c5, queen c7, knight here, and then you try to fight for the center. If you can play the move e5, black has a very good position. New game, higher rating. We go out with the knight. And they play the move a3. So it's crazy that after d4, knight f6, usually white is a little bit lost. Already this move a3 is not telling much. And the question is, can we play the move c5 here? Because if we do, then after pawn takes, we don't, they're kind of preparing the move b4. So we'll play first the move e6, which is anyway a good move. Wow, this is like the anti-c5. Because now we can't play the move c5. But I don't think it's good. I will play the move a5, just challenging this pawn. Saying like, okay, you don't want to play the move c5, but you are going to face the consequences of your choices. And now we can play the move c5 anyway. They could go en passant. This is definitely a possibility, but basically what happened here, I will take back with this pawn, and now I might want to develop the bishop this way. Bishop here. Okay, it's time to play the move d5. This bishop will come out in this very nice diagonal, so actually the bishop is doing absolutely fine, but we will first develop all the rest of the pieces. Let's play the bishop. Let's put the bishop here. So if they push, they cannot castle anymore. They want to develop in fianchetto. Where is this knight going? Either on d7 or on c6. We might eventually play the move, our move, the move c5 anyway, but let's first castle. Yes, place the king into safety. And now c5 or no c5? To be or not to be? I mean, c5 looks good. I'm thinking if I should play first this move. And I will go for this. I don't want to... This move is very useful because I'm protecting here, doing many things at the same time. Now I will also put my rook on the b file, putting some pressure on the bishop. And there is also this pawn that is attacked now by the bishop, protected by the queen. I like to increase the pressure more and more. Now queen here is attacking this pawn one more time. And again, already it's not so simple to defend. And if you do this, now the knight comes here. And it's really hard to defend this pawn. Maybe the rook has to go back. Okay, they do it with the queen. Makes sense. Now again, we can play the move c5 and maybe it's time to do so. Or maybe not. Let's sneak with the knight even forward. This move is attacking this bishop one more time. And if they trade, I'm very happy to look at the difference between my bishop, which should be the bad bishop, because it's in the same square as all my pawns. Usually the bishop is bad, but instead is so active. Now I'm threatening to play this move, attacking the queen and really winning that weak pawn. What happened? Why did white get in a bad position here? And it's definitely that they played way too slow. They didn't try to play active moves, but they rather played a little bit too strange moves here. Now I could play knight here with tempo, attacking the queen. The queen will move definitely here. I like this move. We'll go for it. And the question is how to go on, because yes, we have a good position, but still we didn't win this pawn yet. And so how to keep going. But now I see a threat. If the queen would have been there, black could have played, well, I could have played this move, attacking the rook. The rook has to move and then the bishop is hanging. So the queen is coming here because it has to defend this guy. But now I play bishop here and I'm winning a pawn. I'm definitely winning a pawn. And now the queen has to go down there and I can just snap this. But there is a problem. If I just snap it, then the rook is coming here, attacking the bishop and the pawn behind. But I can go there, they take the pawn, and I take this other pawn. So I still have an extra pawn. So we go for it. One pawn is a pawn. We love them. Free cheese macaroni. We gotta take it. Ooh. They don't even... Interesting. So they don't even try to capture this one. This is interesting. Now they are threatening to take here, but I'm not too worried because I would have a pawn that is a little bit weak, but my bishop would be having a very fun time on all the light square of white that are looking more and more weak. So I'm just bringing the bishop a little bit back to safety. Also maybe preparing the advance of my pawn. Now my knight is under attack, so I have to move it. I don't have many options, so I have to go back here, but that's fine. Important is that this pawn is protected right now, and I can one day activate the knight through that way. And since we have an extra pawn, I'm gonna do this. This knight is very strong. My knight on f6 is not doing much right now, so I'm trying to trade it. Trying to go for it. Also, when you have extra material, trades are always good. So simple chess right now. Okay, they are pushing there. Very interesting move one more time. The idea is that they don't want to make it as simple. So if I take here, if I take here with the knight, they want to take here. And then I have a pawn under attack, I have a knight under attack, and their basic idea is that if I take here, they take back with the knight. And my pawn is a little bit weak. Okay, we'll go for this anyway. I'll take here. And if they take back with the knight, okay, my pawn is a bit weak, this pawn is a bit weak, but hey, I still have an extra pawn, and now we'll keep improving my position. What I will try to do is our initial idea, and this is very typical in the 4d5 structures, eventually to try to play the move c5. In this case, it's even more important because this pawn is isolated, is not protected by any other pawns, so it's pretty good to try to trade it for this central pawn. The only price to pay is that I'm opening up the diagonal for this bishop, but right now this doesn't look like a problem. And in the future, I could also try to maybe block this diagonal by playing this type of moves. So it looks good. Now we'll go for the move c5. It looks pretty strong. Also, if they take, I'm going to improve my knight. My knight is jumping forward, maybe coming here, attacking the queen, maybe there, potential forks. So this looks good. Also, my rook is really screaming, hey, let's go on the c file, where the queen is, the knight is. And the nice part here is that white pieces are not too scary. Look at this rook, look at this, really not doing much. The most active piece right now is the knight, but is now pinned, because if it moves, the pawn behind is hanging and the rook is almost lost. So white is going here with the rook protecting the pawn, but again, let's have a look at this rook. Not having a fun time. So the rook was screaming, so we bring it on the c file. Notice that I did this before trading here. Now I'm threatening to take, and then this knight would be hanging. But if I would do the opposite, first trade and then put the rook here, would be way more obvious for my opponent, and the bishop is already activated. So right now I still keep the bishop passive there behind, and I have a big threat. And white cannot do anything to kind of stop me from taking at any point, because if they push, I'm just winning a free pawn. So I will be able to take anytime I want. This doesn't look good. This doesn't look good. No, this is not good. I'm taking here. And now look at this. How are they going to stop? Well, by putting a pawn in between, but this is not good enough, because I'm gonna take here and then... Okay, so they are just trying to play for tricks right now. They're threatening mate, but I can just take this with check. And then I will protect the mate, probably with the move f6, so it's once for all protected. And then they have a problem, because this knight is pinned. The queen behind would be hanging, and there is no way to defend. So I will just defend the mate now with the queen, and also the diagonal is closed, and this other knight is also falling. So they might even just resign here. No, they keep going, but now we take this guy for free, attacking the queen one more time. We have a full extra rook, and so we can just... I was totally scared. We can just trade off the queens with check, and it's a completely winning endgame. GG's. Final game, higher opponent, we go out with the knight. Ooh, we might have another London system, and here I would like to make an exception, not to play immediately for the move c5. We will play the move c5 later on, but we will try to rather develop the kingside pretty quickly. And the idea is to go bounce, fight, against this bishop immediately, and let's do that. Let's place the bishop over there on d6, trying to trade the London bishop. Okay, bishop g5, they are pinning this knight. Let's play... I mean, we have so many moves that are possible. We could castle, we could play h6, we could play knight here. Let's play with knight here. We are protecting the knight, and yeah, now we take over there. Now the situation is pretty clarified. This bishop is going to have an easy way to develop this way, so we can simply castle, trying to bring the rook on the open file. And develop all our pieces this way. Let's play the move h6 as well. Ooh, they're trading. This makes us gives us an easy development. Now we can bring the bishop out here. Now we have this structure that is very interesting, because it actually happens in many openings. Also, for example, it could be a reverse Caro-Kann exchange variation. And with the black pieces, the idea is that we want we have an arrow here that points us that we have to attack towards that side. So we will definitely try to place a knight on e4 if possible. And to try to create just some annoyance. So if we go here, they could try to trade. They cannot trade with the knight because it would be a fork. If they trade with the bishop, this knight doesn't have many squares. So actually this is a pretty good moment to go there, because actually if they take with the bishop after this, the knight has no safe squares. The only one is this one, least bad, where white is just losing one pawn. So the knight on e4 is right now a monster, very strong. And I can further support it either with bishop here or queen here. Yeah, or just push this pawn. This is the one that I'm the least sure, because the moment you go up with the pawn never comes back. So important to keep that in mind for pawns. Knight forward. I don't understand this move. To me, it seems like a free cheese macaroni. And we love free cheese macaroni, you know the drill. So we take here, and like the video if you also like free cheese macaroni, who doesn't? So we take there, and now there we go, our free cheese macaroni. Extra pawn, how to play for a win. Here, first of all, we still need to bring all the pieces to the game. I don't like the move e4. To me, it seems like a second free cheese macaroni. Cannot I just take? And the bishop can't take because I take here. If the rook takes, it's the same. So this is not good. So, but still, even in this position, even with two extra pawns, we gotta bring all the pieces to the game. And still, the rook is not playing. Okay, queen here is interesting because they're attacking the rook and saying like, haha, we'll take next move. This is good, a good idea. Because if I take with a pawn, this rook is hanging. I have a way to attack the queen. But this is an example. So they were able to basically not lose the pawn, just because I'm a bit behind on development. And that's what my coaches taught me when I was young. Usually when you're lacking development, tactics work in against you. So in favor of your opponent. And that's a nice example. So I will still have an extra pawn. That's fine, but good reminder to develop all the pieces. So let's start by putting the queen here. I'm defending the rook and also kind of making it for them a bit annoying to capture the pawn back. Because if they take with the bishop, then the bishop is pinned, cannot be moved anymore, since the rook behind would be hanging with a bad checkmate. So actually they took like this, and now I'm thinking, what about bishop f5? Because they cannot take, since we have back rank checkmate, they can't take with the queen, they can't move the bishop. So this looks really cool, and I think the only move is to do something. I'm thinking, wouldn't it have been stronger to play f5? Probably. Yeah, probably f5 would have been just winning here. Let me know in the comment what you think, and we will check it in the analysis. So now they have the move f3 still. So they are probably just losing a second pawn. Would have been better the other way around. All right, we will bring also another rook here. So once we trade everything, we end up with a rook in a rook endgame with two extra pawns, which should be winning, but not as simple. So we will try to convert it with hopefully a nice technique. The queen is going back, so actually we might not end up in a rook endgame, but they don't want to trade the queens. But this is still very, very good for black. At any point, we can basically go for a queen trade. So we might... Ooh! Okay, this is very dangerous now for them. because at any point I might checkmate them. So I will go with the queen here, giving a check. If the king goes there, it's mate. So there is just... Oh! No! What did you do? Well, that was pretty quick. And we have a nice checkmate. GG's. Instead of rook h1, of king h1, of course this move is way better, but still my rook is sneaking here. And this is really powerful. Rook e6, I love this move, coming to give a mate. So they have to sacrifice their queen in order to stop the mate. Okay, quick analysis. This is actually beautiful. Can we play the move f5? What did you think? Did you write? Don't cancel the comment, huh? This move is a blunder, actually, because there is bishop d5. Brilliant. Giving a check, and my rook is lost. Nice, GG's. If you enjoyed this video, go check out this one, the Sicilian defense, a great opening against one e4. I love it so much because for beginners and intermediate players works particularly well, since white players are always... they don't know how to play against it. So check it out and have a great day. Bye-bye.